Hi, welcome to Pico Playtime, the video series where I play through some cool Pico 8 games to show to you lovely people. Today we have got the Pico 8 game which everyone has been talking about. By everyone, I mean there's an article on PCGamer.com about it. I've seen it all over the place. It's on all of my timelines. I am of course talking about Poom. Be very careful how you pronounce that. Poom, the remake. It's not really a source port, since it's not using the source code, but it's a similar idea, isn't it? Anyway, it's the remake or the Pico 8 version of Doom, one of my favourite games of all time. And it is made by Frederic Souchu and Paranoid Cactus. We previously have covered some of Paranoid Cactus's Pico 8 work on this very channel. We played through UFO Swamp Odyssey and also Lava Joe, I believe it was. So check out those games by Paranoid Cactus. Anyway, Poom is a remake of Doom. Obviously, this is a little bit of a technical marvel. So a lot of my time today is going to be spent saying I have no idea how that would work or how that would be set up. This game is far beyond my understanding of Pico 8. So I'll try my best to talk about it from that side, but I'll also be talking about it just as a kind of, I use this term lovingly, a Doom clone, because don't forget, first-person shooters used to be called Doom clones. This is definitely a Doom clone because it's Doom, isn't it? Anyway, let's load up the game. Now normally I would be playing this in Splore, in the actual native Pico 8 player editor program, whatever. But Poom is only available at the moment, as far as I can tell, on itch. You can download a standalone desktop version. It will run in the browser. You could try running it on your phone. I've not tried, but it will work. But yeah, I'm using the desktop version, which is basically a kind of self-contained Pico 8 player, but it's not the full thing. Anyway, I'll get that loaded up because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do my little intro where I reboot Pico 8. But before we do that, today's video is brought to us by the antithesis of Doom, the hell-based first-person shooter. Today's energy drink is Monster Ultra Paradise. Paradise, of course, being the theological opposite to hell. Yes. So, what is paradise? The side of the can asks us. Well, paradise is a chalet on the slopes, a streamside ranch, or a penthouse in the city. How about a private island with a white sand beach, turquoise water, and a gentle tropical breeze? So this is a Monster energy drink which is kind of inspired by the Fire Music Festival. Let's carry on. Monster Ultra Paradise, pure, crisp, invigorating island flavours. Oh, there's more. Kick back and enjoy. Paradise is wherever you can find it. Unleash the Ultra Beast. Okay then. It's nice. I can't tell you what it is. Tropical fruits, passion fruit. I don't know. It's nice though. It's green. Maybe there's apple in there. Maybe it's not so tropical after all. Right, let's load up Poom, because I've talked for long enough. This game was made for the 7-day FPS jam, I think. Was it? Am I just talking rubbish? Maybe. Anyway, a little bit about who made it and what they did. So Frederic Souchu is the is behind the engine, if you like, and the code which makes this all work. Paranoid Cactus contributed original levels, art, and sound effects. So let's load things up. And it just works, isn't that great? So this game is using every trick in the book to get it to work on Pico 8. It's a multi-cart game. I think possibly one of the reasons why it's not on Splore is possibly due to how many cartridges it uses. I think every single level is its own kind of cart, or Pico 8 cartridge, if you like. The title screen, obviously, well, not obviously, but the title screen appears to be a cartridge as well. So there is quite a lot of loading in this game for a Pico 8 game, which is unusual, but, you know, it's pushing boundaries, isn't it? We've got quite a lot of kind of repurposed, adapted original artwork from Doom, which includes this beautiful title screen. I've always loved the splash screen from Doom and the box art. Just brilliant, isn't it? Anyway, we've got 6 levels. I was talking about the art, wasn't I? Let's try and focus. I'm so excited to play this game. We've got, so there are graphics that have been reused, like the shotgun sprite looks like it's been reused from Doom. It doesn't look like it's been redrawn, unless it has. If it has been redrawn, that's incredible. The enemy sprites, I think, are ported straight over from the original files, or the original Doom data. But a lot of other things like the textures, they're all kind of original. And it says original levels. We're not going to be playing through Doom Episode 1, which is what I was kind of expecting from this game. These are all original levels, which is really nice. So I get to talk about this like I'm just talking about a Doom, you know, PWAD file that I've downloaded off somewhere to play. Because, well, I'm going to... Oh, a little bit of explanation, sorry, before I start, about the controls. This is using a lot of controls. Naturally, Pico 8 has only got 2 buttons for action buttons, a D-pad if you like, or your keyboard, arrow keys, and a pause button. It's very much, if you imagine a NES controller, that's what you've got for Pico 8. Now, Pico 8 can do 2 players, so both players there have their own control mappings. And Pico 8 can also optionally use the mouse. So Poom is using the mouse, both players' keyboard controls, even the pause menu, in a way I've never seen done before, to get the controls that you need for kind of Doom, the way that you want to play it. That is with a mouse and keyboard. So there's a lot of trickery going on, and it's very clever. Anyway, I'm going to play on level 3, Avernus Annex. I think this was the level I wanted to go on. This is just to show you, this level features a lot of what I want to go through with the game, rather than just starting at the first level. So that's my explanation there. Let's load it up then. So, we've got all the difficulties. I'll say all the difficulties. This is kind of like, I believe it was it one of the parts of Doom, I think it was it the Lynx version, didn't have nightmare mode, and that was due to limitations in the console. There isn't nightmare mode in this, but there are the other 3 the other 4 difficulties, I should say. Now, this is quite a hard. If this was just a Doom WAD, this would be quite a hard WAD, I would think. Hurt Me Plenty is, if you're familiar with Doom and Doom 2, Hurt Me Plenty is definitely on a kind of Doom 2 level of difficulty rather than Doom. And I think most people would agree that across from Doom to Doom 2, the difficulty levels really well stepped up. So I'm going to be playing on a lower difficulty just so I can show you as much of the level as possible and I don't die embarrassingly. So yes, I am too young to die. We've got a lovely loading screen. We haven't got the kind of traditional Doom loading screen. This is a little bit more akin to Doom 3's loading screen, if you remember that. I don't remember Doom 3. Anyway, as you can see, the cartridge is loading. There is some clever shenanigans going on in the background here that I have no understanding of. Right, we are in. The music. Oh, the music. I think there's 4 different tracks from the original Doom which have been adapted into Pico 8's 4-channel capabilities. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. All the main parts are there. I can't believe you can do this with a 4-channel Pico 8. So, enemies. We've got imps. We have got the shotgun guys. There's not all of Doom's enemies in the game, naturally. A lot of the kind of clever part of the design of this, I think, is in what they chose to omit. So we do have former humans, but we have the shotgun variety, not the kind of pistol variety, because they feel the same niche in the game, don't they? We have imps, of course, Doom's most iconic enemy. There are no pinkies. There are Cacodemons. What other ones are there? I'm forgetting. Spectres, the one everyone forgets about. We haven't got them. Anyway, if I'm talking and not concentrating, I'm going to get lost in this level. Most of the levels in Poom are quite large. They were typically, each level typically took me about, I think the quickest was about 6 minutes. The longest was about 11 minutes, which for Doom levels is quite long. Like I say, the level design is much more reminiscent of Doom 2 than Doom. Levels are quite big, sprawling, quite a lot of backtracking now. Oh, so much to go through. Isn't this... I haven't really said it enough already, but this is a 3D, fully 3D, first-person shooter Doom clone in Pico 8, which is, don't forget, meant to be an 8-bit kind of fantasy console. So this is kind of got the roughly the processing power of a NES or thereabout. I mean, look, it's incredible. Right, the level design. There are secrets. This game does have secrets, and look, we have our second weapon. Like I was saying about how they have had to kind of cut down what is in the game and what is cut from the game or removed. So weapons, we don't have the pistol, and I believe we do have the fists. I'm not sure how you select them though. There we go. So you have got the fist, and like I was saying, that one looks like it could be a redraw, but other sprites such as your shotgun, that very much looks like the Doom shotgun to me. I've spent many hours looking at that very sprite, so unless I'm wrong, which I could be. Anyway, not all the weapons are present in the game. We have got the shotgun, the chain gun. Further into the game, we get the rocket launcher and the plasma rifle. So just 4 weapons, but arguably the 4 most interesting weapons. Now, I'm not sure if there is a plasma rifle on this level. If I do get to show you though, you'll see that that is the weapon which has the most kind of differences to how it works in the game. But anyway, I'll get to that if I get to that. So, the gameplay then. This is Doom's gameplay. If I did a review of the gameplay, I would basically just be doing a review of Doom's gameplay. You know the score by now. It's fast, it's action-packed, it's the most famous first-person shooter ever. And arguably the one that popularised the genre, which is now probably inescapable. So many games now are just first person now that we don't even call them first person shooters anymore, they're just called shooters. Anyway, I don't really need to talk about the gameplay because it's just Doom's gameplay. It's excellent. Now, one of the cool things I did want to mention, then again, from a technical standpoint, it's got the I can't remember, is it called sector lighting? It's got the lighting engine, or a very similar looking lighting engine to the original Doom, and I believe the lighting engine was one of the things which made Doom so kind of revolutionary when it came out in 1993, along with the speed that I should probably mention, yeah. And this engine just seems just as fast as Doom to me. But the lighting, because we're in Pico 8 and we are limited to 16 colours at a time, we don't have that much kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, you can see there, the dark areas very quickly turn to black and we lose a lot of the detail. Now, I think that actually adds to the game. One of the things that I really enjoyed the first time I played Doom, the thing that made it stand out to me was the darkness. And I don't just mean the darkness in tone, I mean the lack of light. I think it's one of the episode 2 levels. I think it's the first level in episode 2. There's a secret area which is nearly pitch black, and as I think I was maybe 8, 7 when I first played Doom on my friend's dad's DOS PC. That dark bit was so scary, and that's what you remember. That's what puts that game into your brain, and then you come back to it later when you actually own a PC for a start. The darkness in this though, because of the lack of shades of colour, it makes the dark areas, it gives me that same feeling that I had the first time I played Doom, the murkiness of everything. Again, with the low resolution, because this is at 128 by 128 pixels, enemies can hide in the dark very easily. And that's just brilliant, because you can be thinking, what's shooting me? Oh no, you turn around, there's a shotgun guy shooting you from the darkness. Brilliant. That's what you want in Doom. That's what I look for in Doom. Right, I'm completely lost on this level because I've not been concentrating. So, I've somehow picked up the gold key. You can see that indicated down the bottom right of the screen. I only have one bullet left for my chain gun, so I should probably switch that. To switch weapons, you actually use, well, I'm using the enter key, which normally in Pico 8 brings up the pause menu. And we can use our direction keys to select a weapon once we're on there. So let's have the shotgun. So we can pause the game by pressing the pause key twice. No idea how that works. I didn't know that was even possible. As you can see, we've got a few menu options here. Oh no, I've quit the level. Whoops. I have to go back on and now and start it again. That was silly, wasn't it? Anyway, it gives me some more time to talk about this game. So, you know, I think I'll carry on that level. I was enjoying that level. Or should I go into the Defiled Realm? Let's go into the Defiled Realm because I want to show you some of the music as well. The music in this game, I've no idea how there's some very clever arrangement going on there, because obviously the original Doom music files by Bobby Prince were using MIDI, and you know, you're not really limited in any meaningful way in MIDI by how many instruments you want to use. So, but you are very much limited in Pico 8, so they have had to really cut down the music, but it still sounds pretty good to me. It's such an incredible game, this, it really is. It's so strange having to wait for a Pico game to load. That is very odd. This is one of my favourite tunes on original Doom. I think it Doom. I think it was episode 1, map 4, I think. Such a cool piece of music, this. Right, this level really shows off the lighting engine that Frederic Souchu has come up with. That is pitch blackness in front of me. I have not got a clue if there's anything down there. That's pretty cool, that's pretty scary. I like that. Oh, look at this, look how murky it is. You might be looking at thinking, why is he getting so excited about this sort of noisy pixely mess? But this is what it was like playing Doom when it came out on DOS PCs, which were barely capable of running it, because you needed, when Doom came out, you needed a pretty decent PC to run it. id Software were always kind of pushing things like that, pushing the technology. I mean, this engine is doing things which the original Doom engine didn't do. Look at that smoothly scrolling lava effect, or lava floor texture there. Doom couldn't do that. Or it didn't do that. I don't think it could. I'm sure they would have done if it could. Isn't that good? The sector, I think it's called sector lighting, I think that's what it's called. It's really effective. I mean, that lava pit is glowing, isn't it? That looks pretty good to me. Let's carry on through this dark evil cave. This, of course, is a bit further into the game, and we have got the kind of hell levels, if you like. So the first 3 levels are the kind of tech-based style levels from kind of Doom episode 1. The last 3 levels are much more the hell style levels from kind of episodes 2 and 3. Well, to be fair, most Doom levels after that. Most Doom levels tend to be the kind of hellscape ones rather than the tech base. There we go, there is a Caker Demon. I'd love to know if these sprites were hand-drawn or if they were kind of ported over from another version of Doom. That definitely isn't the original Doom sprite, but it's such a good sprite. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that had been adapted from like a Game Boy port of Doom. Is there a Game Boy port of Doom? You could definitely get it on the DS. I don't know. There are so many versions of Doom, isn't there? You can get Doom to run on a pregnancy test, so, you know. Right, have I got lost again? The level design. I haven't really talked enough about the level design. Like I said earlier, the levels are quite big. If I had one criticism about the levels, and this would be the same thing I would say if this was just a regular Doom WAD file that I was playing, I think there's a little bit too much. This is such a minor criticism as well. Often you have a door like this, which you run past, and you also don't have the key. So you run past it, pick up the key, and then have to backtrack back to this area to open the door with your new key. The trouble is, there's a lot of times where you literally come to a dead end and you're doing a full 180 to come back. Doom levels tend to work better if the backtracking doesn't feel like backtracking. This is a very minor criticism though. I mean, the fact that I'm playing Doom in Pico A and I'm able to nitpick about decisions made in level design show you how much this game is getting right. So, the fact I'm nitpicking is a good thing really, because I'm able to nitpick and I'm not saying things like the game barely works, the game barely runs. In terms of the technical side of things, when I played through the game, there's maybe 2 or 3 areas where I noticed. Oh dear, I've run out of voice. There's maybe 2 or 3 areas where I did notice a little bit of slowdown. It tended to be areas where you were coming from a kind of narrow corridor into an area with a lot more sort of geometry going on. However, if I kind of backtracked and then came back through the same way, I didn't seem to get slowed down the second time round. So what slowdown there is very few and far between. And to be honest, they're a professionally made Doom, Doom ports for kind of less powerful systems, which have far more slowdown than Poom. So again, the fact that I'm pointing out such minor criticisms shows you just how accomplished this game is. I didn't think this was even possible on Pico. I mean, lots of people kind of are hankering after the idea of kind of, I suppose you'd call it Pico 16, like a 16-bit older brother to Pico A. I mean, if this was made on Pico 16, if that existed, I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty cool, pretty good accomplishment there. But it's not. This is an 8-bit port of Doom. Right, I've got lost again, so I'm out to look for a key. Now, one kind of feature of Doom which is missing from this is the auto map. Now, I'm not surprised that there wasn't any room for an auto map. It does make the game quite a bit harder, especially with how big the levels are. This is why original Doom had an auto map, I'm sure. So yeah, there are times when you're going to get lost, but again, if you've played Doom quite a bit, you kind of expect this. This is just part of the game, the getting lost. I think I need to go this way. I would love to see how the I think I'm back in the right area now. I would love to see how the levels were designed. I mean, I can't even begin to fathom how it would work. I mean, I've had a go myself at making Doom WADs using what's it called, Doom Builder. So I do have some kind of experience in making level files for actual Doom. And yeah, doing that without the use of an editor, I don't even know how you'd start. Now, with my limited knowledge of the Doom engine and what it can and can't do, I can point out some things which I noticed that Poom can do, which I was impressed with. Just to kind of rewind things a little bit, before, if you're not aware that is, before Doom, Doom wasn't the first-person shooter. Not even Wolfenstein was the first-person shooter. There are games from the 80s which arguably were first-person shooters before Doom and Wolfenstein. Doom and Wolfenstein popularised it. They kind of showed people how good these games could be. Especially Doom. The cultural impact of Doom is immense. I mean, for years afterwards, these style of games were called Doom clones, to put that into perspective. I mean, think about how important if we're going outside of games, think about how important a band like the Beatles are. Do you hear bands being referred to as Beatles clones? That's how important Doom is. I made a Beatles reference in a video about Doom. Clearly I need some more Ultra Paradise. Here's something I liked. This room, with a big old inverted crucifix in there. Love a bit of satanic stuff. This feels like a Quake 1 level to me. That's just my observation. There's a level in Quake 1 that has this exact layout, isn't there? I'm sure there is. With the altar and the big old inverted crucifix. I don't know. Now, things that Doom did that were kind of, I would say groundbreaking time, noteworthy, shall we say. This crucifix gives me some more time to have this on screen, to be honest, and get demonetized. Does that happen for being satanic? I don't know. Right, this crucifix here, inverted. You have got three kind of, if you look at the kind of bars at the side, you have got a lower part of the wall that reaches up to the bottom of the crucifix. There is an upper part which stretches down from the ceiling, which we can't, there we go, we can just about see, it's a very tall room. And then we obviously have the middle part hollowed out where the lava texture is used. The way that Doom levels work, and it works the same way in Poom as far as I can tell, you have a kind of, we're running through a kind of in between the ceiling and the floor. The way that you kind of create rooms in Doom, you draw out a polygon in kind of 2D from a kind of top-down perspective, and then you raise or lower the ceiling to create a room inside. So obviously we've got a little step there into this little alcove, and there's also a kind of corresponding drop from the ceiling to create this kind of little raised area, this little niche. That was something that Doom did, which its predecessor Wolfenstein couldn't do. If you look at Wolfenstein and kind of those style of first-person shooter games, the ceiling was a fixed height, and often in those games as well, in fact nearly all times I can think of, the width of the corridors and things was fixed as well. It's very much, you're very much playing on a kind of a grid, if you like. If you imagine looking at levels from above, in a top-down perspective, you would be looking at something you could draw on squared paper. Doom was the first game that I know of like this. That, in fact, it probably was just the first game. Why am I kind of hedging my bet so much? Doom was the first game that didn't do that. Rooms could be any shape in Doom. You could have raised pieces of flooring, lowered pieces of ceiling, you could create steps, you could create huge cavernous rooms, you could create narrow corridors, you could have twisting, turning areas in your map. It gave a massive amount of flexibility to level designers. So rather than having to create a level in Wolfenstein which would look from above just like a complicated maze, you could make, you know, very imaginative, very creative levels, and implementing that on the hardware of 1992, 1993 when it was being developed was a real challenge. You know, you needed John Carmack, you know, genius programmer, to come up with something that would run, and the key thing is run quickly on, you know, consumer level PC hardware. And you know, PCs back then were expensive. Obviously, you still needed a decent PC to run it, but the fact it would run at all was a miracle. And knowing how difficult it was to get, you know, kind of 1993 computers to run Doom, I can't imagine how hard it would have been back then to get, you know, something like a NES or like a Spectrum or a Commodore to do the same. Would it even be possible? I don't know. Obviously Pico 8 isn't, you know, really an 8-bit console, you know, it's kind of emulating it. I mean, I don't, you know anything about how Pico 8's kind of engine works, but there are those very strong and strict limitations in the engine, which is what makes it so effective to use, so easy to pick up and challenging. So, as you can see, one of the things that this game engine can do, which Doom can do, is the raising doors. Doors in Doom always have to move vertically. You can't have a door that swings out. The engine wasn't capable of that. Again, if you remember what I was saying about how areas or rooms would be made by raising and lowering the ceiling and floors, a door is just a kind of ceiling piece which moves up from the floor, if that makes sense. If you think about original Doom as well, you had rooms with crushers where you'd get crushed from above, or where the floor would kind of move. This raised area here as well, this is going to be, well, when I unlock it anyway, this is going to be an elevator. So the floor will raise up, and there's the switch. So there we go, so we've got another door there raising up from the floor, or rising up from the floor. Oh, those cake demons. Those are nasty. The behaviour of the imps is just like in Doom. So there you go. The ramp there, the elevator lift thing, it's basically the opposite of a door. Rather than the ceiling coming down to the floor, you've got the floor rising up. And now we've got the red key. Great. So much to talk about in this in this game. I'll try and get to the end of this level, and then I think I'll kind of call it a day, because otherwise we could have a 6-hour video of me just playing Poom, talking about the incredible achievement of it. If I haven't made it abundantly clear already, this game is very much worth your attention. Go on to itch right now and download this game and play it and check it out. Oh dear, I've died. You died! What does that say there? I think it was fire to... yeah, there we go. Oh, I did kind of want to get to the end of that. Anyway, that was on the lowest difficulty, don't forget. And like I said, the difficulty of the levels in this is quite high. Do you know what? I think this might need another video. That'll be first, won't it? Yeah, let's do another video. Okay, so I'm going to have another swig of Monster Energy Ultra Paradise with its pineapple-y, vaguely tropical apple taste. What I'd like you to do is download Poom. Check out the developers Frederic Souchu and Paranoid Cactus on Twitter. Check out their other projects. And yeah, Doom on Pico 8. Chef's kiss. Right. Back to the title screen. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm going to do another video on this. I've got a lot to say about this game. Anyway, thank you for watching this first part, and come back for the next part. So yeah, see you later, I suppose. Bye.